as you get older, your perspectives change. Where maybe you start to value different things and you start to look at different things. And more importantly, I think after a lot of years in, shall we say, you get a different perspective on not only what you want out of life, but what you don't. And I think that's the benefits of, we'll just say, maturing, not getting older. But hi. For those new to the channel, my name is Corey Rennie. I go by the Unemployable Counselor. And for those returning, thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe and share. Okay. So perspective on life kind of varies. I think when you're young, everything is all right, kind of instantaneous, and things are so far away, and you don't really think about the long-term consequences for anything, or at least I didn't. But I found as you get older, and maybe I'm just feeling reflective because that's kind of what happens when you have a birthday. But I find too, it's like what I'm looking for is different. Because when I was younger, I always thought that you had to get married, you had to have a family, good job, right? You had to portray that was a measure of success, right? That was the level you had to be at. And I realized as I got older, that's a very old school mentality, and I don't think a very accurate one as I looked at it, because I thought that was the goal, right? I didn't grow up with a lot of people in my age bracket. So, I mean, I think my view was skewed towards an older viewpoint or demographic just because I didn't really have a lot of folks my age growing up. But I've noticed for me, I started to look at stuff like, you gotta have a job, right? You should try to at least get your grade 12, right? That kind of stuff. You should always try to keep bettering yourself, because it'll make your situation better. You know, I always thought when I was younger, I was like, okay, get some education, get the job, get the girl. That happened for me, and it didn't work out. So I found that it's like, wow, if that's what it's supposed to be, then, oh man, how big of a failure must I be, because that didn't work out. And then that kind of messed with my head a little bit for a while, because you're not looking at it through the lens. The lens you need to look at is take care of yourself. And if yourself is taken care of, then you can open it up to other people and do other things, right? Forge better relationships, regardless if they're romantic or friendship or work, whatever, right? I mean, you start looking at those things as indicators to success, not just the materialistic things. Like, oh, I have 2 cars, so that must mean I'm successful. I don't. But you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Oh, I did this and you're doing this. Oh, I'm better than you because of this, right? Those kind of things don't serve anyone well. And I find a lot of times when the people are engaging in that, it says more about their own issues than it does about anything else or anybody else, right? The perspective of self, I think, is a huge one, because if you're not happy with you, who else is going to be? It's an old adage, but it's like when I say, like, look, if you don't think you're awesome, who else is going to think that? I'm not talking about being so arrogant and cocky that no one wants to be in a room with you. I'm saying confidence is okay. Confidence is sexy. Confidence is something that we need to better ourselves. So if we don't have that belief in ourselves that we can do that, then we're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think as the years go on, I find life is constantly giving us challenges to overcome, and we learn more about ourselves by overcoming those challenges, or at least dealing with them head on. And sometimes, sometimes if it's toxic people, you got to remove yourself from the situation. If it's, if there's issues at work, you got to confront that stuff head on, or it's never going to get better. It's always going to keep going on. And ultimately, you got to figure you can do stuff for you and not be an asshole. Okay? Not betray or not, lie. And you can still live your life and have integrity and do what you need to do for you, right? There's a difference between just being like, I find that I've really learned a lot the last few years of different things, right? And I mean, the one thing I found is that if you're not a strong person, if you don't defend yourself, it's easy to become a doormat. And I think a lot of people learn those lessons later in life. I know I did. And I wish I don't think I regret a few things, I shouldn't lie. But I mean, I think going back, there's situations where I think I should have been a lot more stand up and I wasn't. And that bothers me because I don't want to be that person. So as I changed, I noticed my circles changed. It's gotten smaller, right? I have one or two good friends that I can just meet and we can pick up with, and you kind of learn who your true friends are and who aren't, right? And a lot of it has to do with people change, but like integrity, honesty, that kind of stuff. And I mean, if your perception is that this, or you're going by someone else's word on something that happened and you don't know for sure, and you're basing your anger or whatever based off that, then I'm sorry for you, because you're not finding out firsthand. You're just going with what's easy. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is making up your own mind and deciding where you want to go and how you want to be, right? I've had friends that I've disagreed with. Doesn't mean I'm not friends with anymore. But I've also had friends where people have kind of shown their true colors. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, because I'm not. But I mean, when you help people out and you find out the hard way that it's a one-way street, that's a difficult thing to feel. And I think I'm talking about stuff that we've all experienced in life, whether it's with partners or coworkers or whatever, right? So I mean, I think that not everyone is going to agree with the perception you take, especially if you change it, because they're going to be used to you just being like you were. And once that's different, they don't like that, because the needs that they were getting met from that isn't happening anymore. That's what that means, right? Like we all have our own demons. There's always these memes, oh, you never know what battles someone else is facing. And you know what? That's right. But doesn't mean it includes me or anyone else. If they want to make it about you, that's their problem, no one else's. And I mean, it goes back to my topic here, your perception of self. You have to be able to look ahead and try to do the right thing and make those decisions, and more importantly, be able to stand by them. You don't do something and then later on down the line you lie about it, or you tell a different version of it that makes you more of a hero than what actually happened, just because you're worried about what people say. People are going to say whatever they're going to say. That's just how people are. People are always going to take shots, or they're always going to do things like that just because they're upset and they're hurt. And I always say CM Punk said something quite profound. That was, hurt people hurt people. And that's what I'm finding with a lot of the stuff that I see. It's just, it's reactionary. And if people try to better themselves, then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're not better than that, right? Like, it's their own shit that keeps people from moving forward a lot of the time. And sometimes too, I'm not saying that there's not circumstances where other people are holding other people down, because that happens all the time, especially in the workplace, right? People feel threatened, things happen, it goes gossip, toxicity, all that kind of stuff kind of goes together. But I do think that if you are If you have some integrity with what you do, people recognize that, right? Even if bad stuff happens, people still recognize the integrity or the right things that happen out of that. And the people that instigate the negative part usually end up paying for it in some manner, right? You know, I'm not talking about vengeance, no. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you believe in karma or whatever the case may be, you know, usually you reap what you sow. And that's why you got to try to be a decent person. Try to be a good man or woman or however you identify. Just try to keep one step forward at a time and try to do the right thing. Because life is all about curveballs. Always. If everything was successful, if everything was you know, bang on and everything was right, then we wouldn't have any issues, right? But it's how we respond to those deals. Everything is a ripple. You throw a rock in the water, ripples go, right? Every decision kind of prompts another decision or another action. It keeps going on like that. But if you're true to yourself and you believe in yourself and you do what you need to do for you, the rest will fall into place. If you're happy with yourself, then you're going to find that things are going to show up, right? Like, you know, I'm a single guy living in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, right? Who's not quite 50 yet, right? Who's, you know, you start looking at things through a different lens and you start realizing I'm a lot more busier than I intended, working full time and doing this gig, right? I need a schedule, which I'm working on. But you have to be able to live. You got to be able to have some fun. You got to be able to laugh at the things that maybe before you couldn't, because there's not much you can do. You can't control what people do or how they do it. You can just control your reaction to it and how you respond. And start there, right? Things that are going to happen that really piss you off. I still get mad about things, right? But it doesn't mean that it's the end of everything, right? You disagree with someone, you have a, you know, you got an ex, you got coworkers, you got whatever, right? Things happen that are going to disrupt your point of view with things. And you have to be prepared to just say, screw that, man. Okay? I'm just going to focus on what I can focus on today. I'm going to focus on me and what I can do and how I'm reacting. And then we can all just deal with that and we can get better. And I can get better. And because if I'm calmer and I'm cooler with who I am, then that makes everything else a little easier to deal with because of my foundation strong. Okay? And it's always a work in progress. Nothing's ever done. So that's kind of it for this morning. It's a matter of, as you get older, you gain, I like to think you get a little more perspective. You know, you value companionship or spending time with someone other than when you're younger. It might just be more of a physical thing you're looking for. But it's like, once you kind of have an idea of what you want and more importantly what you don't want, then I think at least you can go forward knowing that you're doing what's best for you and you're doing what you want to do. You're not being forced or confined by something that isn't what you want or what you want to be in. And I think that's important, because if you're not okay, you can't go into any kind of relationship or anything like that if you're struggling with what you want. I find a lot of times that just leads into just makes things messier than it needs to be. And it's okay to be by yourself for a while, right? I kind of like that. I used to hate being alone. Now I don't mind it. It's kind of nice to just go for a walk with the dog or, do those kind of things. But at the same time, it would be nice to, hey, let's go to the show or that kind of stuff, right? Like it's a balance, but you kind of start to realize what you want, what you're looking for. So when things come up, you can use that to match your needs instead of you matching the other needs, right? And there's always compromise in relationships. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about from as looking out the window, deciding which way to go. You already know what path you want to be on. So it's easier to find people or things that mesh with that thought process than trying to put a square peg in a round hole, right? Okay. I haven't done one of these in a while. So I'm looking at maybe doing a big show once a week, maybe twice a week, I'm not sure. But anyways, put your comments below, put your thoughts if you think about anything I said sounded plausible or doable, right? And yeah, everyone just take care of themselves. More importantly, make sure you're okay and stay warm, enjoy the weather. And I plan on doing a lot more of these coming up, and we'll go from there. All right, take care, everybody, and have a great day.